2 years after the Battle of Seoul, the galaxy was unrecognizable. President Choi Yuna, now serving her second term as leader of the Confederation of Free Worlds, stood on the observation deck of the new capital station orbiting Earth. Through the transparent walls, she could see ships from hundreds of different species coming and going in peaceful trade. "Madam President," said her aide, bringing her the daily reports. "The morning briefings are ready." Choi smiled. The briefings had grown from a single page about Earth's activities to a massive document covering the affairs of over 500 member worlds. Managing such diversity was challenging, but the results were extraordinary. Ambassador Kong Minsu entered with his usual stack of diplomatic requests. "Good morning, Madam President. We have 12 new worlds requesting membership, 6 trade disputes to resolve, and 3 marriage proposals between different species that need legal framework." Marriage proposals between species. Choi raised an eyebrow. The Etherians and Gentari have discovered they can share consciousness through quantum entanglement. Some are calling it the ultimate form of love. The legal department is having headaches trying to figure out how to write marriage contracts for gaseous and crystalline beings. Cultural Exchange Director Yuhan joined them, looking exhausted but happy. The cultural integration programs are showing remarkable success. We now have mixed species research teams on 3,000 worlds. The innovation rates are unprecedented. "Show me the numbers," Choi requested. Dachu activated a holographic display showing galactic development statistics. "In the past 2 years, we've seen more technological advancement than in the previous 2,000 years under Council rule. The Etherians have developed atmospheric processors that can terraform dead worlds in months instead of centuries. The Tidal Lords have created biological computers that can process information at quantum speeds." Trade Coordinator Wu Seng-hoon added his report. "Economic growth is explosive. Free trade between species has increased total galactic wealth by 800%. Worlds that were resource poor under Council restrictions are now discovering they have valuable resources for different species. But the success came with challenges." Security Chief No Kyung-min looked concerned as he delivered his briefing. "We're still dealing with resistance from former Council loyalists. The Voidstalkers have formed a terrorist organization called the Order of Ancient Ways. They're targeting mixed species colonies and research facilities." "How serious is the threat?" Choi asked. "Manageable, but persistent. However, we have a bigger concern. Our deep space sensors have detected artificial signals from the Andromeda galaxy." The room fell silent. Everyone understood the implications. If there was another galactic civilization in Andromeda, how would they react to the rapid changes in the Milky Way? Dr. Park Subin, head of the Confederation Science Council, had been studying the signals. "The transmissions are clearly artificial, but we can't decode them yet. They're using mathematical principles we don't understand. Could they be hostile?" Choi asked. "Unknown, but based on the power levels we're detecting, their technology is significantly more advanced than anything in our galaxy." Admiral Kim Taehu, now Supreme Commander of Confederation Defense Forces, added his military assessment. "If they are hostile, we need to be prepared. But our mixed fleets are stronger than anything the old Council could have fielded. Human adaptability combined with alien diversity creates tactical advantages we're still discovering." As they discussed the potential Andromeda threat, Captain Lee Hyun, now promoted to Admiral, entered with urgent news. "Madame President, we've received a priority message from the edge of the galaxy. It's unusual." "Unusual how?" "It's from a human exploration vessel, but they're not alone. They've made contact with something called the Watchers, apparently, an ancient species that has been observing our galaxy for millions of years." The message played on the main screen. Commander Park Dae-yoon, leading humanity's first extragalactic exploration mission, appeared with several ghostly figures beside him. "Madam President," his recorded voice said, "the Watchers are the oldest intelligence in our galaxy. They've been waiting for a species like us to emerge, one that could unite the galaxy instead of controlling it." One of the ghostly figures stepped forward. Its voice was like wind through cosmic dust. "Greetings, children of the New Age. We are the Watchers, and we have observed your species with great interest. You have accomplished in years what we hoped would take millennia." President Choi leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "Your species possesses a rare quality, the ability to inspire evolution in others. Only a few species in the universe develop this trait. We have been waiting for you to mature so we could share knowledge of the greater cosmos." The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just special within their own galaxy, they were rare in the entire universe. The Watcher continued. "The signals you detected from Andromeda are from a species similar to yourselves, but they developed differently. Where you inspire cooperation, they inspire competition. Where you create unity, they create conflict." "Are they a threat?" Admiral Kim asked. "Potentially. They are aware of the changes in your galaxy and are sending scouts to investigate. You must be prepared for contact, but more importantly, you must be prepared to show them a better way." Over the following months, the Confederation prepared for possible contact with the Andromeda civilization, but instead of preparing for war, they prepared for diplomacy. The mixed fleets practiced coordination exercises, not battle formations. Scientists worked on translation protocols, not weapons systems. The preparation revealed just how much the galaxy had changed. Species that had been enemies for millennia were now working together seamlessly. The Gentari crystal ships could share processing power with human vessels. Etherian city ships could hide entire diplomatic fleets within their gaseous hulls. Tidal Lord bioships could communicate instantaneously across galactic distances. Dr. Jung Soman, now head of interspecies psychology, made a remarkable discovery during the preparations. Human influence on alien evolution is accelerating beyond our original projections. Some species are developing new abilities they never had before. What kind of abilities? President Choi asked. The Etherians are developing solid-state consciousness. They can exist as gas or crystalline forms at will. The Gentari are growing organic components, becoming living crystal biohybrids. The Tidal Lords are learning to exist in space without water. They're evolving in real time. Exactly. Close cooperation with humans is triggering rapid evolutionary changes. We're not just inspiring technological advancement, we're inspiring biological advancement. The first contact with the Andromeda Scouts came sooner than expected. 3 massive ships appeared at the edge of the galaxy, their design unlike anything in the Confederation database. Admiral Song Tai-yung, commanding the first contact fleet, approached the alien vessels with a mixed force of human and allied ships. Andromeda vessels. This is Admiral Song of the Confederation of Free Worlds. We come in peace. The response was immediate and hostile. Confederation forces, you will surrender immediately or be destroyed. Your chaotic expansion threatens galactic stability. The Andromeda species, it turned out, believed in forced order just like the old council, but taken to extremes. They had conquered their entire galaxy by eliminating any species that showed independence or creativity. Taman stood at the door of the giant space station. His hands were shaking, but he tried to hide it. Today was the most important day in human history. Today, Earth would meet the galaxy for the first time. The space station was huge. It was bigger than any city on Earth. The walls were made of some kind of glowing crystal that changed colors. Purple, blue, green, the colors moved like water. Taman had never seen anything like it. Remember, said Dr. Sora through his earpiece, you speak for all of humanity today. Stay calm. Listen to everything they say. We need to make a good first impression. Taman nodded. He was Earth's best diplomat. He had studied alien languages for 5 years. He knew the customs of 12 different alien races, but knowing about them from books was very different from meeting them in person. The door opened with a soft sound. Taman walked into the biggest room he had ever seen. The ceiling was so high he could not see the top. There were hundreds of beings in the room. Some looked like giant insects. Others were made of living rock. Some floated in the air like clouds of gas. All of them were looking at him. Tae-Min walked down a long path toward the center of the room. His footsteps echoed in the silence. Every alien, eye sensor, or whatever they used to see was watching him. He felt very small and very alone. At the center of the room was a raised platform. On it sat the most frightening creature Taman had ever seen. It was 12 feet tall with 6 arms and skin like black metal. Its head had 4 eyes that glowed red. This was Valthera, the speaker of the Galactic Council. Human, Valthera's voice boomed through the room. The creature did not move its mouth when it spoke. The words came from somewhere inside its body. You stand before the Council of the Galaxy. We have watched your species for 50 Earth years. We have decided it is time for contact. Taman bowed as he had practiced. Thank you, Speaker Velt. I am Taman, representative of Earth and humanity. We are honored to meet you. A sound like wind through metal filled the room. Taman realized the aliens were talking to each other. Some made clicking sounds. Others hummed low notes. A few flashed lights from their bodies. Silence, said Valthera. The room became quiet instantly. Human Taman, your species has reached the level of space travel. This means you must now follow the laws of the galaxy. These laws have kept peace for 10,000 years. A hologram appeared in the air above Taman's head. It showed a map of the galaxy. There were millions of star systems. Most were colored red, blue, or green. Only a tiny yellow dot showed Earth's location. The red systems belong to the Council, Valthera explained. The blue systems are for older species who have earned expansion rights. The green systems are for new species like yours. You may live only in green systems. Taman looked at the map. There were maybe 50 green systems scattered across the galaxy. The red systems numbered in the millions. Your species will be given 3 star systems, Valthera continued. You may mine only basic metals. You may not build weapons that can destroy planets. You may not travel to red or blue systems without permission. The hologram changed. Now it showed huge alien ships. They had weapons that could destroy suns. If you break these laws, the Council will correct your behavior, Valthera said. Many species have been corrected. They learned to follow the laws. Taman felt cold. The way Valthera said corrected made it sound very bad. He thought about Earth's, about his wife and daughter waiting at home. About 7 billion humans who did not know their future was being decided in this room. You will also pay tribute to the Council, Valthera went on. 20% of everything you mine, 30% of your food production. This pays for the protection the council gives you. More holograms appeared. They showed alien species, working in mines and farms. They all looked tired and sad. Their worlds were gray and dirty. Your military will be limited to simple police forces, Valthara said. The council will protect you from outside threats. In return, you will provide workers when the council needs them. Timon watched the holograms. He saw humans working. Alongside the other species, they were digging in dark tunnels. They were carrying heavy loads. They looked like slaves. These are the terms, Valthara announced. They are the same terms given to all new species. They have worked for 10,000 years. Do you accept these terms on behalf of humanity? The room was completely silent. Hundreds of alien beings waited for Tamon's answer. He could feel their attention like heat from a fire. Date-Min thought about his training. His teachers had told him to be polite, to negotiate carefully, to find compromise. But as he looked at the holograms of enslaved species, he felt something hot and angry growing in his chest. He thought about his daughter. She was 7 years old. She wanted to be a space pilot when she grew up. How could he tell her that humans were not allowed to explore the stars? He thought about his grandfather. The old man had fought in wars to keep Korea free. He had died protecting his family's right to choose their own path. Timon looked up at Valthara. The creature's red eyes glowed brighter, waiting for his answer. Speaker Valthara, Timon said. His voice was steady and clear. I have heard your terms. I understand what you are asking. Valthara leaned forward. Then you accept. Timon stood straight. He thought of every human who had ever refused to bow to a tyrant. He thought of every person who had chosen freedom over safety. No, he said. The word echoed in the giant room. It seemed to bounce off the crystal walls and grow louder. Four eyes went wide. Around the room, aliens made sounds of shock. Some stood up, others backed away. A few made noises that sounded like alarms. What did you say? Valthara asked. The creature's voice was different now, uncertain. I said no, Timon repeated. Humanity does not accept these terms. The room exploded with noise. Aliens were talking, clicking, humming, and flashing lights, all at once. Some were pointing at Timon. Others were looking at each other in what seemed like confusion. Valthara raised all 6 arms. The room became quiet again, but it was a different kind of quiet. It felt dangerous. Huma, Valth said slowly. Perhaps you do not understand. These are not requests. These are requirements. Every species accepts these terms. Every species until now, Timon said. But humanity chooses differently. Choose. Valthara seemed confused by the word. You do not choose. The council decides. The council has always decided. Timon smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had made a decision and would not change it. That may be how things worked before, he said. But humans are different. We choose our own path. Valthara stood up to full height. The creature was terrifying. But Timon did not step back. If you refuse the terms, Valthara said, there will be consequences. Then there will be consequences, Timon replied. But humanity will remain free. The room fell silent again. For the first time in 10,000 years, someone had said no to the Galactic Council. And in that silence, something changed. Something that could never be changed back. The word had been spoken. The word that would shake the galaxy. No. Dr. Sora sat in front of 12 computer screens in the human embassy. Her fingers moved fast across the keyboard. Numbers and words filled the screens. She was tracking something that had never happened before in galactic history. Commander Wu Jin, she called to the military officer standing behind her. You need to see this. Wu Jin walked over to her desk. He was a tall man with serious eyes. He had been a soldier for 20 years, but he had never seen anything like what was happening now. What is it, Doctor? He asked. Sora pointed to one of her screens. It showed a map of the galaxy. Little dots were blinking all over it. Red dots, blue dots, green dots. They were blinking faster and faster. These are communication signals, Sora explained. Every dot is a message being sent from one star system to another. Look at how many there are. Wu Jin looked at the screen. There were thousands of dots blinking. Maybe millions. Is this normal? He asked. No, Sora said. Usually there are maybe 100 signals per hour across the whole galaxy. Right now there are 10,000 signals per minute, and they're all saying the same thing. She pressed a button. Sounds filled the room. Strange sounds, clicks, hums, whistles, and beeps. But somehow, Wu Jin understood what they meant. They're all saying no. He whispered. Sora nodded. In every language in the galaxy, the Zephyrians call it Kalana. The Deepsworn say through list. The rock people of Granite Prime use the word Nex. But they all mean the same thing. Wu Jin sat down in a chair. This was bigger than he had thought. How did they learn so fast? He asked. The galaxy has been connected by communication networks for thousands of years, Sora explained. When Timon said no to the council, it was broadcast live to every world. Billions of beings heard it. They heard a species refuse the council for the first time ever. She pointed to another screen. This one showed news reports from different planets. The text was in alien languages, but the computer translated it into human words. Species X447 questions Council authority, for first time in 3,000 years. Mining strikes spread across Sephorian colonies. Deepsworn refused to deliver scheduled tribute. Council sends emergency fleet to Granite Prime, after rebellion. Wu Jin, read the headlines. His hands were shaking a little. They're all rebelling, he said. Not yet, Sora corrected. But they're asking questions they never asked before. They're using a word they forgot they had. On another planet, far from Earth, a creature named Kix worked in a deep mine. Kix looked like a large lizard with 4 arms. His skin was green and covered with scales. He had been digging rare crystals for 60 years. Kix had never questioned his work. His father had worked in the mines. His grandfather too. All of his people worked for the council. It was just the way things were. But today, Kix heard something new on his communication device. He heard about humans. He heard about the word they said to the council. No, Kix whispered to himself. The word felt strange in his mouth. His people had a word like it, Valek, but nobody had used it for hundreds of years. Kix looked around the dark mine. His friends were working beside him. They were all tired. They were all sad. But they kept working because that was what they had always done. Valek, Kix said louder. His friend Zack looked up. What did you say? Valek, Kix repeated. The humans said it to the council. They said no. Zack dropped his digging tool. You can say no to the council. The humans did. Kix said. Other workers stopped what they were doing. They gathered around Kix and Zack. What does it mean? Asked a worker named Pex. It means you don't have to do something just because someone tells you to, Kix explained. It means you can choose. The word spread through the mine like fire. Worker after worker heard it. They passed it along to friends and family. Soon, every Zephyrian on the planet knew about the human word. Back on the space station, Tamine was in a small room. It was not quite a prison, but the door was locked. Council guards stood outside. He could not leave, but he could still communicate with Earth. His small device let him talk to Dr. Sora. Taman. Her voice came through the speaker. The whole galaxy is talking about what you did. Is that good or bad? Taman asked. I don't know yet, Sora admitted, but it's definitely big. Species that haven't spoken to each other in centuries are sharing the same message. They're all learning to say no. Taman sat on his bed. Through the small window, he could see alien ships flying around the station. They looked worried. What's the council doing? He asked. They're scared, Sora said. Our spy satellites show they're moving fleets to different systems. They're trying to stop the rebellions before they get bigger. On another world, the Deepsworn were having their first free meeting in 1,000 years. They lived underwater in a city made of coral and metal. They had been giving fish and sea plants to the council for so long that nobody remembered why. Elder Bluth swam to the center of the meeting area. She was very old, even for a deep blue sworn. Her blue skin was covered with the scars of hard work. I have heard about the humans, she said in the harmonic language of her people. They spoke a word we had forgotten. The crowd of Deepsworn made musical sounds. They were excited but also afraid. Throughlight, Elder Bluth said. It means we can refuse. It means we can choose our own path. A younger Deepsworn named Wavs swam forward. But Elder, what if the council punishes us? What if they do? Elder Bluth replied. Are we living now, or are we just surviving? The question floated through the water like ripples. Every Deepsworn felt it. Commander Wu Jin got a message on his communication device. It was from a human ship exploring near the edge of the solar system. Commander, the ship's captain said. We're getting strange signals. Alien ships are trying to talk to us. What do they want? Wu Jin asked. They're asking us to teach them. They want to know how to say no. Wu Jin looked at Dr. Sora. She was smiling, but it was a worried smile. This is happening faster than anyone expected, she said. The council ruled the galaxy by making everyone believe they had no choice. But now everyone knows that choice exists. On the council's homeworld, emergency meetings were happening in every government building. Council leader Valthara stood before a room full of the galaxy's most powerful beings. The situation is getting worse, Valthara announced. 17 systems have stopped sending tribute. Mining operations on 43 worlds have slowed down. 3 entire species are asking to renegotiate their agreements. A crystal being named Hexter flashed angry colors. How can one word cause so much trouble? Because it's not just a word, replied a floating gas creature called Mystera. It's an idea. And ideas spread faster than plague. Valthara's red eyes glowed brighter. Then we must stop the idea before it destroys everything we have built. Back on Earth, people watched the news with wonder and fear. They had no idea that their representative's simple word would change the galaxy. But now they were part of something much bigger than they had imagined. The word was spreading. The idea was growing. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy was beginning to remember what freedom meant. The revolution had begun with a single word, no. Fleet Admiral Hajin stood on the bridge of Earth's biggest warship. The ship was called Soul's Light. Through the large windows, she could see space filled with alien ships. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Ma'am, said Captain, Duhayan, the alien fleet is 3 times bigger than we thought. They have ships from 40 different species. Hyjin nodded. She had expected this. When you say no to bullies, they usually bring bigger fists. What's our status? She asked. All Earth ships are ready, reported Lieutenant Yush to Mars. Colonies have sent their defense fleet. Even the mining stations want to help fight. Hyjin smiled a little. Humans were good at one thing. When someone tried to push them around, they pushed back harder. A message came through the communication system. It was from Valthera, the council speaker. Humans. The alien's voice boomed through the ship. You have caused great trouble in the galaxy. Many species are refusing their duties. This cannot continue. Hyjin pressed the reply button. Speaker, Valthara, we only said we would not be slaves. If that causes trouble, maybe the trouble was already there. You will accept the council's terms, Valthara continued. If you do not, we will make you accept them. No, Hyjin said simply. There was silence for a moment, then Valthara spoke again, and this time the alien sounded angry. Then you have chosen war. The first alien ships moved toward Earth. They were huge. Each one was the size of a city. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy, but something strange happened. As the alien fleet moved forward, some ships slowed down, some stopped completely, a few even turned around. What's happening? Asked Captain Du-Hyan. Engineer Minesco was watching her computers. I'm picking up radio signals from the alien ships. They're talking to each other. What are they saying? Hyjin asked. Minesco listened to her headphones. Some of the crews are arguing. The Zephyrian ships are asking why they have to fight for the council. The deep-sworn crews are refusing to fire on civilians. Hyjin realized what was happening. The word no had spread so far that even the council's own forces were starting to question orders. On one of the alien ships, a Zephyrian commander named Kel stood on his bridge. His crew was looking at him with worried eyes. Commander said, his second officer, the council orders us to attack the human planet. Kel looked at the blue and green world on his screen. He could see cities full of people, families, children. Why? Kel asked. His officer seemed confused. Because the council ordered it. But why do we follow the council? Kel pressed. The bridge went quiet. Nobody had ever asked that question before. Because we always have, the officer said weakly. Kel thought about his home planet. His people worked in mines all day. They were tired and hungry. They gave everything they dug to the council. In return, the council gave them just enough food to stay alive. No, Kel said quietly. Sir, his officer asked. No, Kel said louder. I will not attack innocent people. My ship will not fight in this war. Around the solar system, the same scene was happening on dozens of alien ships. Crews were questioning orders. Commanders were refusing to fight. The council's great fleet was falling apart. Back on Earth, Admiral Hyjin watched in amazement as more and more alien ships stopped moving toward her planet. Ma'am, said Captain Du-Hyan, we're getting messages from alien ships. They want to talk. Put them through, Hyjin ordered. The voice that came through was translated by computer, but she could hear the emotion in it. Human ships, the voice said. This is Commander Kel of the Zephyrian Defense Force. My crew and I refuse to fight this war. We ask for permission to join your cause. More voices followed. Deep-sworn captains, rock people from Granite Prime, even some of the crystal beings who had served the council for thousands of years, they all said the same thing. We choose to say no. Captain Jae-soon had never imagined he would be commanding alien ships, but here he was, with a fleet of humans and rebels from 12 different species. The council still has loyal ships, reported his communications officer. They're regrouping, near Jupiter. Jae-soon nodded. Not all aliens had joined the rebellion. Many were still too afraid of the council to disobey. What's our plan? Asked Commander Hwal, a Zephyrian who had joined the human cause. We don't destroy ships, Jae-soon explained. We disable them. Then we talk to the crews. Hwal looked confused. Talk to them. Every person on those ships has a choice, Jae-soon said. They just don't know it yet. Lieutenant Yeonji led a boarding party onto a disabled council ship. She wore light armor and carried non-lethal weapons. Her team included humans and several alien rebels. The council ship's crew was scared. They had expected to be killed or tortured. Instead, Yeonji sat down with them in their own meeting room. We're not here to hurt you, she said. The computer translated her words into their language. We want to talk. The council will punish us if we listen, said the ship's captain, a tall, insect-like being. The council is not here, Yeonji replied. Right now it's just us, people talking to people. She pressed a button on her device. It showed pictures of rebel worlds, planets, where people had said no to the council. Look at these worlds, she said. People there are choosing their own leaders. They're keeping the food, they grow. Their children are learning to read instead of just learning to work. The alien captain stared at the pictures. This is possible. Yes, Yeonji said, but only if you choose it. By the end of the day, another ship had joined the rebellion. Admiral King Ho was amazed at how fast their fleet was growing. Every ship they disabled became 2 ships fighting for freedom. The council doesn't understand, he told his officers. They think this is a war about territory or resources. But we're fighting for something they don't have a word for. What's that, sir? Asked his aide. The right to choose? Kyung Ho replied. 6 months after Timon first said no to the Council, the galaxy was completely different. Commander Hay-1 stood in what used to be the Council's great meeting hall. Now it was the Assembly of Free Worlds. Instead of one species giving orders to everyone else, representatives from 200 worlds sat as equals. They made decisions together. They argued, they disagreed, and they voted. It's messy, Hay-1 admitted to her aide. Democracy always is. But it's better than the alternative. The former council leaders faced justice for the first time in 10,000 years. Sujin, a human lawyer, had spent months studying galactic law. She found thousands of years of crimes that nobody had ever been punished for. You enslaved entire species, Sujin said to Velthara during the trial. You stole their resources and their freedom. You told them they had no choice. Velthara's red eyes were dim now. The alien looked old and tired. We brought order, Velthara said weakly. We stopped wars. We prevented chaos. You prevented choice, Sujin replied. And without choice, there is no real peace. Captain Bo-young commanded one of the new mixed ships. Her crew included humans, Zephyrians, Deep-sworn, and even some reformed crystal beings. At first it had been difficult. Different species had different ways of doing things. But they learned to work together. More importantly, they learned that anyone could say no to orders they thought were wrong. Captain, said her Zephyrian second officer, I disagree with the plan to explore that system. It seems too dangerous. Tell me why, Bo-young said. After discussing it, they changed the plan. The mission was safer and more successful because someone had the courage to disagree. Dr. In-ho published the most important book in galactic history. It was called The Right to Refuse, How One Word Changed Everything. In the book, he explained what became known as the Terran Principle. True civilization can only exist when every thinking being has the right to say no. The book was translated into every language in the galaxy. It was read on worlds that had been free for months and worlds that were just learning about choice. Years later, Ambassador Tamyan stood before the Galactic Assembly. He was older now, with gray in his hair, but his eyes still held the same determination they had on that first day. When I said no to the council, he told the assembly, I did not know what would happen. I only knew that freedom was worth the risk. He looked out at the representatives, hundreds of species, all equal, all free to agree or disagree. The council feared that word, because they knew it would end their power. Taman continued. But fear can become hope. The galaxy learned that no is not just refusal. It is the beginning of choice. And choice is the beginning of everything. Good. The Assembly voted that day to establish the Galactic Day of Choice. Every year, beings across the galaxy would remember the day when one human said one word that changed everything. Children on 1,000 worlds learned the story. They learned that anyone could say no to injustice. They learned that freedom was not given, it was chosen. The word that had created galactic fear became the foundation of galactic hope. And across the stars, on countless worlds, beings of every shape and size taught their children the most important word in any language. No. The end.